Howdy. Now, I know there's a lot going on, and I can assure you there's a very normal and reasonable explanation for this. You're a priest chasing a witch that just burnt down your entire congregation in your church, and as you're about to see, things went very well for you. See, this is where the game starts. You've crashed your car, you wake up by a cave, get bearing of your surroundings, seem to be doing fine. Mostly. And then here's your fun little church, the place you've spent all your life working on, your most important thing to you in all the world, but that's not the only thing. There's the witch on fire. She's crashed in a cave. And I think we might be out of forgiveness. It's time to go do something about it. That's the immediate decision that you're very clearly led to make, but not without context. Now, what you, the player, the priest, are holding in your hand right now is an amulet that reveals to you a voice, that voice being your conscience, presumably. That's what it identifies itself as. Not very much is making much sense right now, but what you do know is that that witch just burned down your church, just killed everyone in it, and it's time to get some payback, because that amulet, presumably, with the power of the witch's blood, can not only keep you alive and kicking despite the fact that you just were in a car crash that very heavily alluded to killed you, it can also turn back time. Which means that if we can kill this witch, we can bring back the church, the congregation, we can save everyone. So the game leaves you with a choice to which there is a very obvious conclusion. It's time to get down there and do something about this witch. I mean, she's very clearly evil. There's no doubt about it. So we gotta get down there and get her. And in order to do that, we're gonna need some help. That's where the P38 dirt comes in. It's the first gun you're given access to in this game. And with it, we're gonna get vengeance on this witch. Now, what I'm walking up to right now is an altar of blood. This blood powers the amulet. It allows you travel to and from places. It allows you, presumably, to unlock the power to revert time at some point, but it seems like the blood in this altar isn't necessarily strong enough, so we're going to have to keep delving deeper in order to hunt down the real source of power, that is the witch and her magic. But before we do that, we have enemies that we have to face, like any good dungeon crawler. And of course, there's going to be combat. There's always combat. So as you can see right here, I'm figuring out the basics. Shooting, melee. Melee's hard, as you can see right here. And now, we're back from the dead. We meet the first of our NPC friends here, the Grave Digger. Second, we meet Ralphie. She repairs your gear. Then we meet Stiffleg. He's our scrounger and merchant. Finally, we meet Scholar. He enchants gear. He'll be very important later. And Arthur, who trades stamps for cosmetics. He's not integral. But with all that out of the way, it's time to get back down to that cave. We've got business. Now, we're going to face a lot of enemies while we're down here. Starting out, initially, we're going to run into the Spear Goblin. A very simple, easy enemy, and the bane of my existence, the Baby Goblin. I hate these little nightmares. But they're easy to take care of, all things considered. After that, we meet my favorite little friend, the Cooking Pot. And don't you worry, I will spend plenty of time at the Cooking Pot. But we have more important things to handle right now. Next, we run into the Goblin Archer. Not too hard to handle. Next to it, this odd towering goblin that doesn't fight unless you hit it, in which case it puts its dukes up and it's ready to go. I love these little guys. Next, we meet these odd skeletons. We meet an Ice Mage Goblin and a Fire Fire. And of course, there are enhanced enemies, there's gear to collect, there's recipe items to collect for cooking, all to meet the inevitable end goal of improving our gear and getting stronger so that we can conquer this cave and hopefully find this witch. In order to do that, there's a couple of major enemies we have to defeat. One of them being this absolute gargantuan beast of a creature. I don't really know what to call them, but they are something special, and they introduce us to an important mechanic that will come into hand later. In the caves, they have armor, and to hurt them, we have to break through their armor. You'll see why this comes into play in a moment. But before we get to any of that, we have to ends up not being too terribly difficult
Alright.
because they're just the warm up for the boss of the caves. Meet Cousin. See, Cousin is a rather large goblin swimming in something that is mud. Uh, he very clearly suggests that it's partially mud. You can let your imagination run wild on that, but Goblin Cousin is a special goblin. He covers himself in this mud as a form of armor. As you can see when he emerges here, he pops out of his pools, he's covered in mud, and you can't hurt him until you've broken a large enough hole in the mud. The whole time he's throwing balls of mud at you, and as we've established, you don't want to fight this. So, you gotta dodge, you gotta fight. Cousin keeps you on your toes, but he can't leave his mud pit, thankfully. He's very large and intimidating, so I think we can all be happy that he's stuck there. The mud is not fun. Don't get in it. Don't get touched by it. It's gross. It's toxic. It's a threat. Stay away. Break down his armor. Do your damage, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Oh, mud off of it.
Now, Cousin is going to have a couple of phases. Phase 1 is him throwing the mud. Very simple. Once he takes enough damage, he'll drop down. He'll pop back up somewhere else and start throwing mud again. Phase 2 has Cousin summon a swarm of minion enemies to help fight. In this phase, you're just running into a lot of the same goblins you've already encountered in the caves. But with Cousin as backup support throwing mud, and with the end goal that you still have to defeat them all, do enough damage to Cousin to take him down as the final boss. Once you've accomplished all of that, there isn't anything else in these caves that's going to stop you from getting to your retribution against the witch. However, we find out soon that the witch isn't actually here. But we do find something else of value. Earlier in the cave system, before I met Cousin, I found this, and I did save it until after for dramatic effect, but we find another one of those blood altars on a second run through of the caves that reveals a bit more about what happened before all of this. Upon charging the amulet, you are transported to some alternate dimension where you encounter a flashback scene. You meet this wise old woman that asks to take shelter from an oncoming winter storm. And of course, being a father, being a priest, it is your duty to help those in your congregation that are vulnerable. So what better thing to do than to absolutely welcome her inside? And upon welcoming her in, you are met with a sight that isn't so pleasant. And it gives us a hint that it seems like maybe we were led along, made a fool of, taken advantage of in some way. If you're interested in this story and want to see more, I do intend to make a part 2 actually covering the rest of the game, and it'll cover more than this part. I only had to cut this one short because of time constraints. So, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will. I'm committing to it. I'm going to finish this game, make a full story breakdown, show all of what it has to offer. I've already gotten about halfway through the actual gameplay. I just have to edit that part down. And at the pace I'm going, I should have this done well before the end of January. So if you're interested, look forward to it for sure. It's going to be good.